Oh, it didn't go live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the House of Steel broadcast channel. And we are very thrilled to welcome you to another episode of Yucks You May Yum. And as soon as I can finish playing around with my cover, I will take a moment and introduce our guest for today, who I'm very excited to have. Um, this guest is very special to me. In many ways, he was my honest brother, and that's how we met. But then he became initially informally a mentor, and then somebody who I look to more and more for information and guidance and advice. And then uh, he surprised me with one of the greatest honors in my life by covering me as a master a couple years ago at the New Jersey Leather Contest. And I'm thrilled to welcome to the broadcast Master Shango.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
And
having me.
I'm very excited um, to have you today for a number of reasons. Some I just mentioned, but also because of your knowledge and expertise in this area. And I'm thrilled to be able to present the audience with information about a kink um, about kinks they may not be have been exposed to or want to learn more about, or are afraid of, as many people are with these topics. But first, I want to introduce you, and just share your bio with the audience. Master
Hmm.
Shango Royal Heart began his journey with Onyx Mid Atlantic, a leather fraternity for men of color, to safely explore kinks and fetishes. Master Shango joined the organization in April of 2017 when he served as education chair in 2018 and 2019. Master Shango is also Northeast Person of Leather, and his title years extended from 2019 to 2023. And that's a community service title that isn't bound by sex, gender, race, or any other labels. He was the first runner up for International Person of Leather in 2020. And Master Shango identifies as a sadistic Dom with various kinks and a love for erotic servitude. As a public health sex educator and peer support agent, Master Shango advocates for healthy relationships, consensual exchanges, and sex positive liberation in all communities. At SELF 2018, Master Shango was a featured keynote speaker as well as an educational presenter. Additionally, he was a keynote speaker at the Master Slave Gathering in 2022. He judged Mid Atlantic Leather Women in 2019, Leather Men and Women of
Someone is at
Color
front
in
door.
2020. Pardon my ring doorbell. Um, in Leather Men and Women of Color in 2020, and Northeast Master Slave 2022 contest. In 2019 through 2023, Master Shango worked with LGBT Detroit on the production of the Sex Hookups and App Tour, Cold as Hell 2, Cold as Hell 3, Dungeons in Detroit, and Cold as Hell 4 as an educational celebrate, which is an educational celebration of leather and kink in BIPOC communities. Amongst Shango's many personal and professional accomplishments, he is head of house to Leather House of Royal Heart. He is a member of Masters and Slaves Together in Washington and served on the board for the MTTA Training Academy in 22 to 24. So now you all know why I'm so excited to have such an accomplished leather person. And I was about to say prominent member of the community, but that's not really even how you carry yourself. You're really just somebody who's really approachable. People who walked up unless they saw you performing some kink would never guess that you have all of these accolades because of how approachable and open you are. So,
It's the lack of facial hair. Make me look innocent, I guess.
oh, is that what it is? You do look innocent. Yeah, you do appear that way. So, to continue to let the audience get to know a little bit about you, we love to play 20 questions um, as an opportunity to share some information about you. And in true um, House of Steel tradition, there are not 20 questions. We're going to call it that anyway. It's like the big
Okay.
more than 10 teams. So, first question: what is your most sentimental piece of leather?
My most mental piece of leather would probably be my vest, my very first house vest. Um, yeah,
Okay.
I love this thing. I try to wear it as much as I possibly can.
How long have you had it?
I got our first family patch back in 2020.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had it since then. This is a Rubio vest. Shout out to Rubio. They do great work.
Rubio does amazing work. Beautiful work. Okay. So, which of the following is your favorite kind of first date?
Mm.
Coffee, dinner, or museum?
Mm. I say dinner because I like to eat. And I think that's the best time that you can, see if your partner has manners, your date has has table manners, and can make good conversation in public spaces. So,
Mm. What is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
oh, TV show. Right now, I would say Housewife Wife Swap. I am kind of loving that right now because I
I
used to
didn't.
watch Wife Swaps back in the day,
Mhm.
and Housewife Wife Swaps is top tier right now. Loving it.
I didn't even know that was a show. Mm.
Yeah, I think it comes on Peacock.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Um, so now I have to follow it up because of the way you reacted when I was midway through the question. What is your favorite guilty pleasure right
Hmm. Um, Personal playtime, my one-on-one playtime
now?
versus play with my partners.
Mhm. All right. All right. Um, to disappoint the audience, I won't follow up on that. What is a kink that you want to try but have not?
A kink that I want to try but have not. Um, Having sex on a pile of money.
All
People might not think it's a kink, but it's one of mine's. Hundreds, $100 bills, all hundreds. So I'm manifesting myself as a rich person, and we're going to
yeah.
play that out.
I
I'm
would
giving
just go
myself
shop.
2 years.
I I would just go shopping for boots and then have sex later in the boot.
Mm.
Um, monogamy or polyamory?
I would say polymonogamous.
That's funny.
So I like a closed circle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, intimate circle, at least 3 to 5, but closed.
Do you sub in any kinks? And if so, which ones?
I would say I bottom, but I don't necessarily sub.
Uh,
Um,
excuse me, bottom is what I mean.
yes. What do I bottom in? Um, hmm. I love getting tied up. I
Mhm.
love a good flogging. Um, and my cakes love a good time too. So a good time had by all.
Oh, okay. Um, if you could have dinner with any person, living or dead, from any time, who would you choose?
I could have dinner with any person living or dead. Um, Maya Angelou.
Oh,
Yeah. I love her poetry, read her books, but as a human being, like listen to her tell stories about her life and her experiences, I definitely would love to sit down and have a conversation about parallels and
mhm.
life experiences.
She's a very prolific storyteller. I think that's something. Well, it became um, much more to the forefront as she got older and started doing more interviews and things of that nature. But I actually think that her ability to tell a story was even greater than her ability to craft a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's high praise because I'm a big fan of Maya Angelou as a poet. Um, what is the greatest joy you get from being a dom in a dynamic?
The greatest joy. Hmm. The look on someone's face when when whatever they expect of the scene is superseded, and like the euphoric look on somebody's face after they're done and wore out. I love that.
I love the wore out. Um, what historical event would you want to see in person?
Historical event, the Million Man March.
Hmm.
Hmm. One of my goals, one of my life goals right now is to try to bring that back to Washington
Hmm.
through the organization that I work for,
Hmm.
possibly.
How old were you then? Were you a teenager at that time? Million Man March? Preteen?
I was preteen,
Yeah.
definitely. But even as a kid, that spoke to my spirit around my experience as a black person
Hmm.
at that time, and how black men were perceived up until that point about not having any type of togetherness or not being able to come together, and witnessing that on TV was powerful.
Yeah, it
And
was.
it's time to do it again.
Yeah, it was one of the first times that I had ever seen, and I'm older than you, so I mean, but that kind of powerful statement about a bunch of um, African American men not being violent, together in solidarity and united in purpose. You know, we don't get enough of those intelligent images today, and so that was also life altering for me in a number of ways. Um, what non-fictional character most do you connect most with?
Non-fictional.
Yes.
Mm. Hmm. I guess that would depend on the space. So I guess if we're talking music world, I would say Lupe Fiasco. Um, he's just a very intelligent person when it comes to like his wordplay. Really stands on business around like not being used by industry.
Mhm.
So I like that about him. Muhammad Ali, because he stood on business and his career. He really loved black people and the black experience, and really stood up in a time where it was needed. So these are people that I look up to. So I would say Muhammad Ali specifically.
Muhammad Ali is my personal hero. If I had to choose a hero other than my father, it would be Muhammad Ali. And I had the chance to meet him in 1992, I believe, when I was in college at Notre Dame. He came, and we weren't expecting him. Jesse Jackson was coming to do a speech, and I was the president of one of the black organizations on campus, and they always invited the leadership of the black organizations to a reception before they had a African American speaker or presenter. And so we were all there because Jesse Jackson was coming, and we were moderately excited, but a lot of people had come through, and we were in the room upstairs in the student center, in the reception hall, and all of a sudden we just heard this hubbub, and then we look, and Muhammad Ali is walking through the door, and we had no idea he was coming, and all of the leadership of the university are standing there, and he walked right past them as if he didn't see them. All of the Black students were kind of huddled in the corner. And he walked right past them. He would not even turn his head. And he walked over to each one of the Black students, shook our hands, and talked to us for 3 to 4 minutes each, asked us our names, where are we from, what are we studying, told us how proud he was of us. And I'm going to tell you, the message that he sent to the university, that we were his priority, and the way he made each of us feel valued was like, and I mean, at this point, he was just really starting to have symptoms of the Parkinson's, but
Hmm.
still speak well. He also told me I'd make an amazing Muslim and put a leaflet in my pocket, my jacket pocket. And I'm going to tell you, if anything's going to convince me to change religions, it's talking to Muhammad Ali. First time,
Absolutely.
only time in my life I've ever been dumbstruck. Apparently, since I can't stop talking. Back to you though. Um, where would you want your retirement home to be? A beach home, a house in the
Beach
mountains,
home,
a beach? No, no go.
beach home, beach home. Yes.
Yeah, that
If
would
I
be.
have to retire, I want to retire near some water.
Mm,
Ugh, I just need it.
yeah,
And
that would.
Florida's effing up. So get it together
Mm.
by the time I retire.
I mean, yeah, that would be absolutely lovely. Um, what is one thing about you that typically surprises people?
Mm. Uh, that I am an artist. I don't think I put that on display as much these days as I probably did when I was younger.
Mm.
That is like my happy place to draw, sculpt, um, paint, all that. I was a tattoo artist for a number of years,
Mm.
and that's how I learned that I was a sadist. I'll get into that later.
Okay. Last question. And I saved the toughest question for last. Which of the roommates on Living Single do you most resemble?
Oh man,
And we're including Max, even though she didn't
Max
text.
is absolutely included. But I would say, especially after watching the reunion, the reliving single, I think I have the Khadijah spirit
Mm,
about me. Yeah,
yeah.
I tend to be about the business.
Mm,
I tend to be the funny friend that keeps the group together
mm,
because I feel like Khadijah is the glue to
mm,
keeping everybody together,
mm.
and everybody plays their part outside of that. I want to be a Max, but I feel like I'm definitely a Khadijah.
Yeah, I think I skew towards Max more than Khadijah. But I would want to be Khadijah.
See, kindred spirits. Look at us.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to be Khadijah. I am Dorothy in the Golden Girls question. So I
Well,
can
I
say,
guess I'm Blanche.
mm,
I'm a Blanche.
I would love to be Dorothy. I mean, I would love to be that. But then I find myself having another conversation with Stan. So, all right, so let's jump into this because as much as I'm sure people are interested in learning about you, they're also here today for us to talk about blood play and needle play. And I think the important thing to do initially is just to kind of frame the conversation with information. What is blood play and what is needle play?
Oh, okay. So blood play and needle play fall under edge play,
Mm,
meaning it involves high risk and advanced knowledge. It's I think the primary exchange is to do energy exchange. Trust is heavy on it. You have to absolutely trust this person before they stick needles into your body.
mm,
Um, so blood play involves the controlled, consensual interactions um, of the surface of the skin that would cause a small amount of blood. It could be ritualistic, should be intentional, rooted in power dynamics, body worship, and sensation play.
Mhm.
Needle play is a precise insertion of sterile single medical use needles into the skin under the surface for sensation play. For aesthetics, like doing corset ties or using beads or decorating the skin. Um, and psychological intimacy, used for psychological intimacy. It could be artistic, could be spiritual, but should always be intentional.
Mhm. And blood play, I mean, you mentioned in your description that um, I don't remember exactly how you phrase it, but um, dealing with the surface of the skin to draw small amounts of blood. But there are fetishists and kinksters who engage in blood play who actually use more greater levels of blood, who
Yes.
want to sometimes drink some blood.
Yeah, you
Famously,
have vampires, you have folks who, who are into like doing period play.
Mhm,
When a person is menstruating, playing with blood in that way. Bloodletting. The first instance that I discovered blood play was watching a show called Odysseys. It's about a antique show that specializes in weird objects, or like medical play, like bones and stuff like that.
mhm,
And somebody had brought in a bloodletting machine, and the person who ran the shop was giving the rundown of how this machine was used. I
mhm,
think back in the 1800s, it was used as a medical device. If somebody had, I believe, they had a headache or something like that, the medical remedy was to uh, remove blood from the body to get rid of illness.
mhm,
And they also talked about the kink of bloodletting, of drawing blood out enough to make somebody lightheaded, kind of
mhm,
like breath play, um, and doing that type of thing. That got me curious about playing with blood, that and vampires.
mhm. And the whole vampire thing is really fascinating to me. First of all, as an edge player myself, who's very interested in sharks,
Hmm.
I am not one to draw blood, but I do like to create a scenario for the seam bottom where they feel like it could go there, even though we
Hmm.
negotiate that it won't. But also, as someone who flags houndstooth and really enjoys biting on a person, especially in the neck and the traps,
Mm.
vampire, the whole vampirism um, culture is appealing to me because of that aspect. Even though I'm not drawing blood, it's still drawing me kind of closer to that. And that whole thing is really fascinating to me. So you mentioned earlier about being a tattoo artist and how that taught you that you were a sadist, but we also
Hmm.
know that tattoos are done with needles. And
Hmm.
so, how did you come to be interested in this type of play?
I started tattooing in 2009.
Mm,
A lot of my primary clients were gay men, starting out. So I found that people had a fear of needles to start. So when I go through my sessions, I will pull out the needle, show them how long it is because it's at least like 6 inches long, but most of it is inside the
okay.
gun. And I have to, coach them through this. You get just this much of the needle, and it was always the coaching through the scene, or coaching through the service,
Hmm.
that kind of got us off because there were some scenes or some tattoos that turned into scenes, and this
Mm,
is before I even discovered the lifestyle. So I enjoyed the causing of the pain. I enjoyed the person enduring the pain and coming out on the other side of it a stronger person. I've always felt that once the work is done, and we've been there for hours and hours and hours cleaning up the blood and the mess, and once you know get the final picture, everybody is in a euphoric state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how I learned sadism, is because I learned the satisfaction in the process,
So,
and I
and so
craved that more. I craved it more.
and so to stay on the topic of tattoos and almost tattoos as a fetish, tattoos have an addictive quality to them. And it seems to me like that would only be partially the end result, but also partially the process.
Always
And
the process.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
you think some people come to get tattoos if they're frustrated, having a bad day, and need some release. So I'm going to get a tattoo, because a lot of people don't have community like we do as far as BDSM. So if you know, usually when you get your first tattoo, you're like, oh, well, it didn't hurt that bad, and I can endure the process. And then there's some, you know, chemical processing that goes on in the brain of, oh, this is euphoric, and I don't understand why. So let's do more.
Mm,
So yeah.
yeah. Okay. And once you started, once you identified that you were getting this pleasure from these acts and you were craving it more, how did you, where, what were the next steps for you to investigate it further outside of a tattoo parlor?
Well, excuse me, in 2010 is when I think I actively started to seek community as
Mm-hmm.
far as kinks are kinks are involved. I didn't understand where I wanted to be at, what I wanted to do. I was exploring with my partner at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't want to play outside the relationship. So most of that was around toy play, and you know, basic rough play
Mm-hmm.
to begin. So I always understood that tattooing and piercing had this extra oomph of eroticism to it. So I just did a little bit more research on, you know, kinks and fetishes. I discovered needle play when I started to transition to wanting to be a piercing artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first time I saw a hook suspension was when they were advertising Burning Man. Never been to Burning Man, but they did a hook suspension on someone, and I was very curious about it. I think that might be a bucket list thing that I would want to try one day, but I don't think I can stand, you know, having such large hooks put in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know mentally how I would get there, but once I find a mentor that actually does that, I think I might try to explore that more.
Well, would you want to explore it as a top?
I would need more practice to do deeper penetration like
Mm-hmm.
that. I learned needles from nurses in the community, or folks who. So I don't want to do anything that I'm not learning from somebody who is an expert in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the kinks that I've done so far, I've been blessed to have great teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
nurses love to inflict, so more than we think. And my first few needle sessions were with folks who are in the medical field,
Mm.
so
Okay.
I was able to practice safely, and I do have background with, you know, professional piercing.
Okay. And so you mentioned that, suspension hooks is something that you are intrigued by, at
Hmm.
the very least, experiencing as a bottom yourself. Um, do you participate? Are you verse in or switch in needle play in general?
Absolutely not. I am not. I'm not a pain pig much at all. I do not love or enjoy needles. The only time that I bother for needles is when I'm going to the doctor.
Mm,
I have been involved in a few health studies over the years that I feel like qualify me as a human pincushion. So I felt like I earned my stripes in the doctor's office. So yeah.
okay. And any other form of blood play that you participate in as a switch?
Hmm. Um, I also flag hound's tooth. So
Mm,
I absolutely enjoy biting, but I don't bite to for penetration. I bite for euphoric sensation. So
mm,
I'm not trying to draw blood in that way. Yeah, most of my other alternative blood play is within other kinks, and I'll get into that in a sec.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what about blood play or needle play do you find pleasurable?
The trust that the other person has in me to do such a thing. Um, I believe that is one of the core values: discipline, technique, and and trust. So I get off more on the process and the feeling that the person is getting. Like I've never seen somebody be so in a euphoric state as in when we're doing piercings versus like flogging. The catharsis that one can, fall into or subspace is intriguing.
Mm. And do you consider either blood play or needle play the most extreme kink that you
Um, I would say if that's your intention, yes, it is probably one of the most extremes because you have to ask the person a lot of questions around safety, and they should be asking you a lot of questions around safety and use, and how, the environment that we're doing this thing in, and like if somebody is anemic or have blood issues. I think the most dangerous part is people not understanding the body
Mm.
and how
So
it works.
let's divert here for a second because I get this question, I get this statement all the time. And if I get it, I know you get it. Where people will say, they'll reach out to me and they'll say, hey, I would love to come and have a play session at the Forge. And I will do anything you want me to do. And for me, that's an immediate turn off because number one, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what you enjoy. I don't know what you've experienced. I don't know whatever. And I hate to have to start at zero gathering information. Like I'd rather somebody come to the table with some inkling of what they want or what they like or something. Um, and so for me, that's usually a almost a deal breaker just from the jump. But when people are talking to you about these kinks, like um, blood play, needle play, some of the more ed, some of the other edge play kinks, um, how much should they know? How much should the bottom know when they're coming to have these conversations?
They should know. They should be vetting you with other people who you've played with. You
Hmm.
should be able to have these references for people, good or bad, whatever the experience may have been, to give them a more informed decision on if they want to do this or not.
Hmm.
Um, for example, I had a scene with a guy in Atlanta. I was visiting Atlanta. I met them on Recon.
Hmm.
This guy, tattooed from head to toenails, literally, very heavy piercings, lips, ears, earlobes, all of that. And he saw my profile that I did needle play, and I think I probably had some pictures of some stuff that I did.
Hmm.
But he invited me over. This was just for just a casual scene, nothing too heavy. I mean, I was traveling,
Hmm.
and he had out and display. He had castration nips,
Mm.
needles, other sharps. Just met me. We have not negotiated anything around this type of play. So I had to teach him a lesson, a live lesson that hopefully he learned. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't learn this lesson because he wanted to do castration play. Not, I don't know if he was actually serious. If he would have been anybody else, he could have actually ended up getting hurt really bad.
Mhm.
But yeah, he had all the tools to do castration, like I guess like cow nips and rubber bands and all the whole nine. And throughout the scene, we were doing bondage, we were doing a little bit of foot play, um, and he kept suggesting that we do needles, that we do this thing. He kept calling it out. So I was like, okay. So I tied him up and I was talking him through the scene, like, you don't even know me. I'm going to cut your balls off, this and that, just talking ish. Um, until we got right to the notion. I had his balls in a noose, ready to go, and I was like, and then he realized that, oh shit, you can do this. You're right, and he had real fear in his eyes. I'm
Mm.
like, now this is what I wanted you to see. This
Mm.
fear in your eyes that a stranger is in your house and could really do real harm to your body is insane. You don't know me. I
Mm.
have you tied up here. Nobody knows I'm here. I don't even think you told anybody that you were having, so you don't have any type of safety
Right.
precautions up. And this was earlier in my leather career. Um, but and we ended the scene after that. I took him down, and we just had a serious talk around who he's inviting over and the experiences that he thinks that he wants to have. And
Mm.
I'm like, I'm just I understand you have tattoos all over your face and body. You're extremely pierced, but don't just trust anybody. You have to do some background checks. You never know if you're in the midst of a serial killer at any point in time. So
The notion of allowing a stranger to tie you up is so crazy to me.
with
Just
the
so,
sharps and all this stuff around, like things that could really mutilate you for good. I mean, he didn't ask me if I ever done it before. Like just from the few pictures that I have, that wasn't enough information for you to ask me to attempt to do like a castration or something like that. But that is the extreme that some folks are willing to go to, and it was something that was a part of our community for some time. Some masters, as a sign of devotion, would castrate their subs and slaves. Um, you know, I mean, I think I read something about somebody in the community who was doing castration and finally and one of their subs went to the police and had them arrested. I think this was like one of those crime mystery shows.
mhm. Yeah, it's actually um, one of a number of activities that people should review the legality of those actions where they live, because different states have different laws and practices. But there are states where castration or um, um, saline injections and things are considered medical practices. And if you do them and you don't have a license, you can, regardless of your
Go
experience,
directly to jail.
go directly to jail.
Most of our kinks are illegal. Most of the things that we do in BDSM are illegal in most states.
Which is why I practice purity as a kink, where I hang around a bunch of deviants and feel better about myself. uh,
I would just a little nugget. If you are a practitioner of edge play, get to know the laws in your cities and states around like the practices that you do, just in case there's an emergency and something happens and the police show up. You can protect yourself
yeah,
because
yeah,
sometimes just the environment and the scene could be enough to have you arrested, especially in Trump's America. So.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, so you said something earlier, and I wanted to follow up on that before we continue. And that is about, um, the thing that people don't know about you is that you are an artist and you like to do there are various forms of art that you love to produce. Is that something that attracted you to needle play, the artistry of it all?
Hmm. I think so. I do love a good decoration.
Hmm.
So yeah, I enjoy doing designs. I enjoy being decorative. I like to do string art with my needles. So like string designs within the needles
Hmm.
versus doing the corset thing. I find ribbon to be quite annoying. So string works a little bit better for me.
As a bootblack, you end up working with ribbons and other things, other forms of lacing, but also spending a lot of time with corsets. And I've
Hmm.
come to really appreciate ribbon, especially the strength. Um, is surprisingly strong. Um, and but I definitely hear what you're saying. How long does a needle play session last, typically?
Hmm. It depends on how many needles you have. Um,
Well, let me ask this: how long can someone have the needles inserted?
um, that's also a tolerance thing. I would say the longest thing I've had has been 2 hours.
Hmm.
Um, it's all about the low and slow. If you're trying to, it also depends on your intention. If you are doing quick pricks, meaning you're doing surface pricks, that there's less pain
Hmm.
versus a slow insertion of a needle, twisting it in, and like the sensations that you're trying to provoke. You should know where your nerves are, and make sure that you're avoiding any major arteries and all those things. But other than that, a scene can last for days if you have that kind of time.
Oh, wow. So we kind of skirted around it a little bit, but now I just want to ask the question directly. What safety concerns should people have in mind if they're going to engage in either of these kinks? And let's start with needle play since we're there in the conversation.
Sterilization, sterilization, sterilization. Make sure the environment that you're doing the needles in are clean. Making sure that any materials that you're going to be putting on top of the broken skin are clean and sterilized. Wherever you're getting your needles, you want to make sure that they are in packages that are sealed, and check your expiration dates and all that. But you also want to make sure that all of your packages are coming like this. If you're coming to a scene with the needles open, ask for the packaging just so you can make sure that they came out of a clean, sterile place. Wear gloves. Um, Make sure you have all the necessary equipment, sharp box, alcohol, plastic wrap to protect your surfaces. Um, and I use this little guide pen for my markings.
Mm.
So I did a little demonstration earlier. So mark your points. You will pinch the skin so you know how much surface you're working with.
Hmm.
If you can pinch the inch, you can stick it. So find your pinch, mark your space in between. Boop boop. Check your pinch,
Hmm.
and then insert. I would say if you want to practice needles, you can get a professional needle kit from most tattoo shops, and that comes with the pigskin or fake rubber skin.
Mm.
I would always say practice there first. And before you practice on your partner by yourself, find a mentor or somebody who is actually, skilled in the art, and work with them before you start doing stuff on your own.
Okay. And you also mentioned about understanding where nerves are and arteries, things of that nature. What should a top in a needle scene know? Like, what are some baseline understandings of the human anatomy that they should be aware of before they look to do?
I would say start on the back. Start on a person's upper back. This is where you have a lot of easy, good surface to practice on. You know, once you start getting your sticks and getting more comfortable with sticks. Sticks are when you are penetrating the skin. That's what um, we call the action. Chest area, boobies are a good place to start. Top surface you want to avoid anywhere around the neckline. You want to avoid any in between the crest of the arms and between the back of the legs. Stay in fleshier areas versus veiny areas.
Mhm. And are genitals in play when it comes to needle play, or should that be
They
avoided?
are, but that is, I would say that is more advanced play. You should have some knowledge of physiology and anatomy if you are piercing like balls or dick heads and those types of things. You should have a little bit more practice. But yes, it can be done.
All right. So many people are turned off by edge play in general,
Yes.
just because of the danger aspect. Even though I suspect that if people saw the full list of kinks that are
Hmm.
considered edge play, they realize that they are also edge players because
Hmm.
many are much more common. Um, but when it comes, um, actually, before we go there, I didn't ask you that same question about blood play. I asked you about needle play, any knowledge of the human anatomy or anything that people should have before they do it. Is it anything for blood play that you want to highlight?
Um, I would say knowing your partner's health status, knowing any conditions that could hurt or harm them when it comes to cutting the skin or um, like one form of blood play that I enjoy currently is single tail with the act of breaking skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I consider that a form of blood play. You should understand like how somebody could possibly go into shock around these types of things. So if you are a heavy BDSMer, you should know all the risks. Um, when it comes to like blood play, bloodletting, just understanding Hep C, Hep B, all the Heps, um, and having the proper medical stuff nearby, having a safety kit nearby while you're playing. If you are doing like period play and those type of things, I mean, I'm sure you've asked your partner about stuff that you need to know health wise. So have at it.
Okay. Okay. And thank
But
you.
I'm sorry, sterile environment is still always the best uh, and a necessary thing.
So you mentioned gloves. What kind of surface covering should people use, if any, or
What do I have around me? So you can easily find this at your local Home Depot. I usually wrap my massage table up in this film. This is not toxic to the skin, but you would put this down, spray the surface down with alcohol. I would usually put down a puppy pad on top of that and then play on top of that. And then your gloves, nylon gloves, or medical safety gloves. I always keep gloves around. Make sure they're your size and that they fit. And what else? To keep things more sterilized, using alcohol wipes versus just using like a rag with alcohol on it. Using this to keep the scene clean,
Mhm.
but you want to keep your scene as clean as possible.
And I noticed you said alcohol and not antibacterial cleaner.
Yes, you also want to spray down your environment with a green soap. If you have access to green soap, you can also use um, iodine cleaner to wound cleaner.
Hmm.
But you should also use alcohol. But wound cleaner definitely helps keep the environment clean.
Okay. That is very helpful. So we talked about some things that are pretty extreme today. What would you say to someone who questions the wisdom of such extreme play?
Get a second, third, fourth, and fifth opinion. There are folks in your community who are nurses and who are medical professionals. Even tattoo artists and piercers are folks that you can ask questions about this particular type of play, because a lot of hook suspension players tend to be in the tattoo and piercing world,
Mhm.
and do more extreme piercing, just in their practice. So I would speak to a tattoo artist or piercer about heavier types of penetration before you practice it yourself, and get with somebody who has um, enough experience that you can see it on paper, not just take their word for it. Never take anybody's word for any type of extreme play. Make sure they have some type of videos displaying that. Make sure that they can point references in your direction for help before you try it. And start small and work your way up.
Mhm. How often do people ask you for references?
Not often enough. I mean, but in my practice, I provide them regardless,
Mhm.
because people don't think about like how they should be vetting anybody in any scene. I just recently had a friend who was lied to about somebody's skill practice, and they told them after the scene was done that this was their first time doing the thing, and I was like, you should be pissed
That's a
and take
good one.
action.
Yeah.
You should be pissed and you should take action against this person, because you asked them if they had this experience before you decide to lay your body on the ground for it, and people can get hurt really bad, and this is not something that should be taken lightly as far as like Pearson play. So
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That's a reason to fight.
absolutely, I said you should be pissed,
Yeah.
and it was it happens. It happens more often than we think.
Okay. And last question. Well, maybe. Can you describe a scene that you enjoyed, either with blood or needle play? Or where you
Mm.
were
Yes, once upon a time, not long ago. Um, hmm, what can I say of this scene? This is the first time that I used staples in a scene. My scene partner, I was doing a co-topping scene with a very good friend in the community, and they were teaching me some tips and tricks around needle play and using a surgical stapler. And they gave me these cute little rhinestone thingies.
at?
So you would take them and you would staple them into the skin to make like little like corset lines
Mhm.
and little cute designs that people can walk around in. And I was like, I never thought about that. And you can also use these to do needle bridges as
Mhm.
well. So that's like on the surface of the. Let's see if I can sacrifice a needle for demonstration purposes. Oh, let me show you the difference between a sterilized needle for medical use
Mhm.
versus a needle that is used for body piercing. So, my camera's here. So
Mm-hmm.
needles with the caps on them, these are for medical use. I got these from a adult toy store versus a medical center. So it has the gauge, what you're practicing for, and they are wrapped. This needle without a backing to it is for piercing nipples, skin, uh, and for PAs, it's usually a hook needle like that. So notice the difference in the needles, and this cap is for protection to keep your ends clean. But yeah, so that was a great scene, and I still have more. So if anybody wants to have a pretty design going up and down their back or legs, come see me.
How did you
Oh,
learn to use a surgical stapler?
with somebody with a nurse friend
Mm.
who is a practitioner. This is also an example of practice skin
Mm-hmm.
that you can get from a tattoo shop. You could probably find these on Amazon, anything like that. It's just like uh, it feels like a mouse pad. It's supposed to resemble skin, um, and you can practice your depth that way. And this probably about a quarter,
Mm. It's thicker than I thought.
yeah. Um, and practice with the skin first before you practice on your body. Practice on yourself
Mm.
so
I've
you
only
understand the feeling.
I've only seen that on Grey's Anatomy, in one of their skill labs when they were working on sutures or something. Um, and your needles are single use or able to be
Single
sterile?
use. No. Even if you can sterilize your needles, if you have a what we call an autoclave,
Mm-hmm.
don't reuse needles on anybody, even in your personal practice, because you can get a staph infection.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not cleaned properly, if you miss something, if there's blood inside the tube.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that boiling is enough. It is not. Only use single-use throwaway needles, and then you put those when you're done. Put them into your sharp box and be done with it. Never reuse needles on anybody.
And how do you dispose of your sharps of the needles in the sharp box afterwards? Do you just
Um,
guard the box, or is there a special?
no, you can take them to a medical facility, but the one I have is for like diabetics.
Mm-hmm.
So just close it up, and then you can let your trash person know that you have a sharps box, and they can take that in a particular way, or tell you when they pick up for those type of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but just to be clear, they should just not be discarded.
Do not throw them in the trash can without there being any type of label on it or anything like that. It's just dangerous for yourself and anybody around.
Yeah, and the people who are picking up that trash as well,
Yeah.
who didn't sign up for that. So before we go, is there any last message you want to give the audience about blood play or needle play or any play?
The taboo is a lot of people in their list of don't do's is no blood, no marks, no permanent marks, no blood. Um, Talk about the why. Why no marks? Why no blood? Because sometimes blood happens. And know your body. Make sure that you have as much information about yourself for your own personal safety around how your blood works, and if you have blood clots, or if you have trouble closing your wounds. That's important to know before you get into any type of heavy blood play. Um, and don't be scared to try. Don't be scared to try new things. The taboo is on the other side of the taboo is your happiness. So try a thing or two.
Very true. I've told the story before that when I was pledging Onyx, we had to list our kinks that we were practicing, things we were interested in, and our hard no's. And my three hard no's were CBT, blood, and scat. And
Mm.
CBT is my primary kink. Um,
Mm.
and I haven't ventured into blood yet, but I'm as close as you can get with all of the sharps that I play with. So, absolutely never rule out anything until you study it, learn more about it, because that could be your favorite thing.
Yes.
It'll lead you.
And one more quick thing. Practicing, a routine or a ritual around the kink helps ground both people before you get into it. I tend to not like to do needle play in public
Mhm,
because it's very intimate, and it requires a lot of concentration and energy exchange between the two people.
mhm,
So doing it publicly in a dungeon, you do get a lot of looks because it's something that most people aren't familiar with.
mhm.
So you have to be prepared in public spaces if you're trying it in public versus building a partnership with somebody to find intention within the practice itself.
Okay. And how can the audience know where you are going to be working, doing demos, teaching? How can they follow you or stay connected?
Yeah, I'm on IG at the number one SANGORH. On Instagram, on FET, I am Mr. underscore Royal, MISTER underscore Royal on FET, and Facebook, Shango.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now
Thank you
we'll
for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing all of this information. I learned some things that I didn't know before, but I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And now we'll invite Boy Ogun to the stage to see if we have any questions or comments that we're going to address before we go.
Hello and good afternoon.
Hey, Boy Ogun, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Hello, Master Shongo.
Hello, hello.
Alrighty, so we do have one question from Zen the Avatar. And Zen asks, I have a question in scenes that involve the symbolism or energy of blood. How do you balance the intensity of that aesthetic with the emotional grounding required for aftercare? What does bringing someone back to themselves look like for you?
Mm. So I always negotiate aftercare well before the scene. Everybody needs different things, but I usually keep a super soft blanket after the person is wrapped and bandaged, if depending on like how heavy the scene was, wrapped clean, sterilized, um, and a big hug. I hear that I'm a good hugger, but all this energy between the both of you is all out in the atmosphere. So grounding somebody is holding them um, for as long as they need. Sometimes, I mean, it's also a cathartic experience. So you never know what emotions you're going to get out of a person. So in that hug, I've had people break down in tears. I've had people collapse in my arms, not even understanding their own experience and feelings. So just taking a moment with that person by themselves and understanding their feelings of what they went through in the scene, talking it out, um, finding out what worked, what didn't work, what you can do differently, and uh, what really worked and what really took them there. Practice, play that up some more. Intention is everything, so that's even after the scene is over with. Making sure that that person has everything they need to bring themselves back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us for this episode of Yucks You May Yum. We have one more broadcast this year on the House of Steel Broadcast Network, and that is a Can We Talk conversation with my brother Carl Onyx, where we will be debating the topic of earned leather versus claimed leather,
Mm.
and looking at the difference and um, Yeah, I'll leave it there. Looking at the differences between that. And you know, in the Can We Talk conversations, Colin and I like to debate all things life and love.
Mm.
We just like to debate. He's argumentative and I deal with it. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you are all safe and well until we meet again. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. All right.